Today we're making KegLand's all grain recipe kit, their Lawnmower S.M.A.S.H beer. I'll pop a link in the description below if you're interested in making this beer. This brew has an IBU of 13 and a colour of 8.1 EBC. We're going to mash for 65 degrees at 60 minutes and mash out at 75 degrees for 15 minutes. Malts, we're using 4.5 kilograms of Simpson's Pale Ale's finest Maris Otter. Hops, we're using 85 grams of Falconers Flight. If you're not familiar with Falconers Flight hops, it's a blend of 7C hops: Cascade, Centennial, Chinook, Citra, Cluster, Columbus and Crystal. For our liquids, we have 20.25 litres for the mashing and 8.23 litres for our sparging. Going to set our strike temperature for the mashing at 70 degrees Celsius or 158 degrees Fahrenheit. Setting our sparging temperature at 78 degrees Celsius or 172 degrees Fahrenheit. Now the kit includes this bag of grains, 4 packets of hops and a packet of yeast, the Bry 97 from Lallemand. And because I didn't pay KegLand the extra $1 to mill, I'm going to pop the grains into the mill now and give those a grind. And I think these ground up pretty good. Now the water's come up to temperature. If you're putting any salt additives in, now's the time to do that. We've hit the strike temperature of 70 degrees, so we're going to bump that down to 65 degrees Celsius or 149 degrees Fahrenheit. Slowly tipping in those grains and giving it a good stir so we don't get any dough balls. Now all those grains are mixed in, we're going to pop the recirculating arm in and mash these for 1 hour with stirring every 15 minutes. After 1 hour of mashing, we're going to set our boiler to 75 degrees Celsius or 167 degrees Fahrenheit and mash this out for 15 minutes. After the mash out has been completed, we're going to pop the mash tun out of the boiler and start the sparging process. Pumping the water from the sparging tank into the top of the mash tun, making sure we get all the sugars from the grains that we just boiled. Now that we've pumped all that sparging water through the grains, it's time to lift that mash tun out and get rid of the spent grains. Setting the boiler to max temperature so we can start the boiling process. Now's a great time to pop the hop spider in so we can sanitize it as the water comes up to boiling temperature. I should mention I took a pre-boil gravity reading and it came out at 1040. At the 30-minute boil mark, we're adding 5 grams of Falconers hops. And again at the 55-minute mark, we're adding 30 grams of Falconers hop. The 60-minute boil is now completed. The post-boil gravity came out at 1055. Now it's time to get this pumped through the chiller and into the pressure fermenter. Making sure we spray down our packets of yeast with sanitizer so we don't introduce any diseases into that wort. Now I'm just going to slowly add that yeast into the pressure fermenter while the wort's being pumped in so I can splash it around and aerate it to help that yeast do its best job. Happy with the amount of wort we got out at 21 litres. That's exactly what I was aiming for. Popped in the rat pill here so I can monitor the gravity and temperature through the BrewFather app, sanitizing and screwing down that thermo well. In true S.M.A.S.H form, I did ram this into the fermenter fridge, that spunding valve to 10 psi and popping it on the gas line of the fermenter. It's cold here, so I had to pop the heat belt into the fermenter fridge, and we're going to set this fermenter fridge at 18 degrees. 4 days later, it's time to dry hop this with 50 grams of Falconers Flight, making sure you sanitize the packets and scissors. Popping off the spunding valve, releasing some of that gas out of the pressure fermenter. Unscrewing the cap, setting that thermo well to the side, give us a little bit of room to pop in the hop, putting 50 grams of Falconers Flight. Now all that's in, popping back on that screw cap, bumping up the temperature to the fermentation fridge to 22 degrees. Just a little look into the graph from the rat pill. These markers here, this is where we put the dry hops in. Now we want to bring this up to 22 degrees for the diacetyl rest. Now after hitting the 22 degrees, it's time to cold crash this down to 0 degrees. Perfect time to get this into the keg. To keg this beer, we need to connect our CO2 bottle to the gas inlet on the pressure fermenter, and we're going to crank that up to 1 bar. I'm just taking a little sample here so I can double check the final gravity of this beer, and our final gravity for this brew was 1.006. Now just popping on the release valve and slowly loosening that screw till I hear a slight hissing sound. Once the keg's full and the beer comes up into the release valve, it's time to pop that off. I'm force carbonating this beer, so I set my CO2 to 3 bar, plug the gas line into the gas line on the keg and roll it on the floor for 2 minutes. Putting the keg in the keg fridge, releasing some of that CO2 out of the keg before I connect the beer and the gas lines. I always pour out about 500 mils before I start drinking, just to make sure any crap that's in the bottom of that keg gets flushed out first. You can see this is way over carbonated, so I decided to let more gas out of the keg and try again. Even on the second pour, it was still over carbonated, so I let more gas out, let the keg sit overnight, and poured my first drinkable beer. So the Lawnmower S.M.A.S.H from KegLand turned out great. It had malty, sweet, biscuity flavour, paired with the tropical and floral flavours from the Falconers Flight. That's a tongue twister. I could see this being a great summer beverage, a perfect companion to mow the lawn with. Thanks for hanging out, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.